We even know what you're doing?
Yes, I know.
You want to join us?
Steve's bringing his lovely cocktail and his bubbly personality.
All right, everybody. Steve is joining us. What we're doing is we're finishing this off with the 2,000 questions about me. So it's just like 2,000 random questions, and we're just selecting one. So would you like a question?
You're asking me a question, or
asking
I have to ask you a question?
No, I'm asking you a question.
It's random questions.
All right, you ready? Here we go. This is a hard one. It's going to make you think, right?
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. How good of a tipper are you when you go out?
Oh.
I'm a very good tipper.
You're a very good
Don't
tipper?
lose his key fob, though. Don't lose his key fob.
Oh, no. That happened once. No, I'm a very good tipper. I 25% at least if it's really good service.
For me, I have like a fixed amount that I tip. So if that tip is even 100% over, like for example, if I buy something for $6, I always tip $10. Like I always tip $10. So it doesn't matter. I don't look at the percentage.
I was looking at a big menu. Like if you go out to eat, like a drink here, I only have one drink. I'll give $5 tip, and it's more than what the drink is worth.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. Like I'll get fries here for $6, and then I still give them a $10 tip.
If it's under $5, I'm 100% tip.
Yeah, because I mean that'd be horrible. You just leave a buck or something.
That's supposed to be a hard question.
No, it's not a hard question. It's just random questions.
I'm one that will tip anyway, and then if I have a problem, I deal with it after the fact. Unless the waiter or waitress is really stubbornly bad.
Yeah.
Then, I don't like making a scene. I know they're there for their business, their livelihood. But I always like to discuss it later.
Yeah.
And I will discuss it in person with the owners and the person before I put it on Yelp. And I'm a good Yelp writer.
Oh, you're a Yelper.
Yeah, I do very detailed Yelp. Where I talk about the bathrooms, how clean they are. First thing I do when I go into a restaurant, I go to the bathroom right away before I sit down.
I never realized that those were real. I thought they were just like, AI created or something.
No. If I think that the bathroom's dirty, I'm out. Because that's where the wait staff and everybody else cleans. If you don't see soap in the bathroom or the urinals hanging off the wall and nobody can, then it is a bad mindset at that restaurant. I leave.
Well, in Westerly, right? So I'm driving all day long, and I live far outside of town. So I know the bathrooms pretty well, and the cleanest bathrooms in town, which I never would have ever thought, is McDonald's. McDonald's bathrooms are always like they just got washed.
Yeah. Yep.
I've never seen that before.
Right on Broad Street, the
I would
McDonald's
say
bathroom is spotless.
There was like a chain restaurant in Rhode Island, Cello's, very clean very clean bathrooms. Are immaculate. You could almost like grill off the floor and eat. It's really good.
Because what the way I look at it is how they treat their bathrooms is how they treat their kitchen.
That's exactly right. And, for me, I don't like punishing people unless they're really crazy. Yeah. And I've only ran into that once in my lifetime where I had to speak up in a nice way. I do it professionally. I don't like to make a scene.
But they still don't take it well. I mean, I understand.
They don't.
They get defensive.
Very.
Like if you didn't leave a tip, you'd be the bad guy.
Oh, I'd be the bad guy.
Yeah. Oh, I can't believe $100 check.
Oh, I never walked out without paying a tip. No.
No, but you would be the asshole. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, and they won't even know why. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe you treated him like a piece of shit. That's why you didn't leave a tip.
I think the best experience I've ever had in a restaurant was with the former mayor of Providence, Buddy Cianci. I used to fill in with him every time. I was a guest with him on his talk show a lot and as a regular caller. And he tells a story all the time, and it's so true. We were heading out to, I think it was New York. I've been with him so many times. But we stopped at a restaurant, and we ordered, it was an Italian restaurant. He ordered macaroni al dente. The waitress comes back and says, "We're out of al dente." And Buddy looked at me, and I looked at them, and I looked at him, and I says, "How do you get out of al dente? It's how it's cooked." Yeah. And he says, "Can you go get the cook?" He says, "Just go get the cook." bring out the cook. She said, why? He said, just go bring the Buddy is tough. He was tough. He wanted good service. The cook comes out, he's got his checkered pants on, that the cooks wear.
Yeah.
He said, look, she must be new, but he says, how are you out of al dente? He said, well, I told the waitress to tell you we're out of al dente. He says, all right, so this is a joke. He says, you're a cook here and you're telling me you're out of al dente? He said, yeah, we are. He says, we're done here. He didn't say anything. He asked the waitress to bring the tip. We paid for the check. We paid for the wine. We left. That was it. He's yelling at the producer on the way back. Don't you ever recommend a restaurant again. It was like, that was the funniest thing. But Buddy left a tip. Even so, on the wine, left a tip because I'd rather. It's like anything in life. Once you put something in writing, or once you say something negative, then everything that your point is going to be forgotten. It's going to be overlooked. So it's best to kind of like handle it professionally.
Yeah.
Give the tip, say what you got to say, and leave. And then I go on Yelp and then I tell them, it's your review, not mine. But at least I was honest. Everybody got a fair tip. I didn't punish anybody.
Yeah.
But I'm not coming back.
Did you ever see the South Park about the Yelpers?
No, I missed that
So
one.
Cartman, he wanted to get free food. So what he did is he became a Yelper, and he would go in there and he'd be like, he's all, if you want a 5-star review, you'll give me food for free. And if they didn't give him food for free, he would trash them on Yelp. And then, but it wasn't just him; it was everybody was yelping. And this poor guy went out of in the episode. Poor guy went out of business because he was giving all the Yelpers free food, and everybody in town had become a Yelper. Yeah, it's a hilarious episode.
What they
It was
say
a good
about
move.
shitty walk?
the shitty walk, shitty food.
And it's unfortunate because a lot of people on Yelp might have a grudge against a business because maybe they're in a competitive business.
Yeah.
And, I could see where that could be abusive to some businesses,
Well, it's
but
weird.
I'm honest and very detailed.
It's
on
flip
mine.
side too. So like sometimes the businesses attack people
Yeah.
just for telling the truth. This is a true story. So in China, it is not uncommon if you make a bad review for a restaurant, for the shop owner to hunt you down and to face you. Like there was just
a duel in the street.
yeah, like I'm serious. Literally, just last week, a woman got on a business owner got a bad review. She got on a train and drove 1,500 miles on the train to face off on the person who gave her a bad review.
What kind of reviews do we have here? It's retail. Read them out.
Yeah, people take that really personal. I mean, I get it. I get it all day because people look at those reviews, and when you're on Amazon, you look
Yeah.
at the reviews, and it can sway you. But you have to kind of filter through that as who might be an opposing business, or maybe those who might be yelping good about themselves that work there.
Yeah.
The owner. So you kind of have to filter through that.
I honestly, I found myself doing that in the beginning. Like when I first started using Amazon, because I was overseas, I didn't. You guys were like 10 years ahead of me. So when I got back and I started using Amazon, I thought it was amazing. But when I started reading the reviews, I noticed that I would literally like good review, and one bad review, don't want it. I didn't take the time to go, why are they giving it a bad review? You know what I mean? And I found now, because I buy a lot of technology, a lot of times the bad reviews because the people, when I read them, the people just didn't know how they worked.
Exactly right.
You know?
took the words right out of my mouth.
Like-
Especially on technology. They don't know what they're doing. That's almost as bad as going into these stores and you buy a toaster and you want to buy the insurance. You know what? How about we
Insurance on the toaster.
absorb the cost on this one? The toaster's $40. I'm all right with it. If it breaks in 3 years, we're gonna toss it out. We'll get another
They do
toaster.
that on self-checkout. It has a pop-up, says you want to put insurance on this.
Yeah. everything.
No.
I'm all set.
Yeah, but that's where they make the most money. So
Yes.
when I was a kid, I used to work at a car dealership, and they said that the reason that they sell you like the extended warranty is that's where they make the most money.
You get points for that.
Yeah.
It's just like it's like when you go to a dealership and you're doing a deal on the car, and now they said, okay, give me your social security number, and you say, well, wait a minute, why you need that? Because you got to check your credit because we're gonna do a finance, and you go, no, I'm paying cash for the car, and I've done that twice. I bought brand new cars, paid cash, and pissed off the freaking guy because he's not going to he missed the credit on the bank sale.
And you know what car dealers and mortgage brokers do that destroys people? So what happens is that you go there and you apply for a loan, right? But what they do is they don't just pull your credit once. They send you off to all these different brokers that keep pulling your credit, and your score is going down and down and down and down. They're
That's
literally
right.
screwing you out of a premium deal.
I hate the credit line. Your credit bureau has become hypersensitive on every little thing you do. You can buy something, but you're going to pay it off at the end of the month. They don't give you any chance. Boom, you lose. Thank God I got good credit, but I see a little bit of change in the credit score just because I did that.
Right. Well, I mean, and credit's all a scam anyway, because the only way you can have good credit is to be in debt. Because when I was overseas, I didn't use my credit, right? When I came back, my score was 0. So a perfect score with nothing on my credit at all was 0. I didn't get my credit back up to 800 until I have like 20 something credit cards that I have to use it like for $25 every month so I don't lose them, just so I can keep my credit score.
And if you don't use that credit card and then they cancel you,
Or
then that's a ding on you too, because now the credit card pulled off from you.
Even if it's not canceled, if you
crazy.
close it yourself,
Yes,
it's a ding.
It's a ding there too.
Yeah.
If you put the wrong PIN number in by mistake, that's it. It was declined.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But
with
you know,
it.
but like these millionaires or whatever, they don't give a shit about credit, because they're like, you know, the thing is like credit is for, sadly, is for poor people, like for us, you know, for people that might have to use our credit, but rich people don't give a fuck about their credit.
Everything's cash.
Yeah, it's cash, or they're borrowing from their stocks.
That's exactly right. You know, and that's a good point. It's for the average working class person. I wouldn't go necessarily say poor, but it's for the average working class person.
Anything under 400,000 is poor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that.
Just today, right? I felt that maybe because I had bought all this stuff and everything, I thought, you know what? Because I like to travel light, because I travel a lot. So I literally today cleaned my room, and I was like, all right, I'm going to get rid of everything that I'm not using. If it's been in a drawer for longer than a couple months, I'm getting rid of it, right?
That's what my wife says. If you didn't wear it this season, throw it out.
Yeah.
I just cleaned out my closet.
As we say in North Providence, throw it out.
Throw it out.
Throw it out.
Seriously, if you're going to leave it in the attic or the basement, get rid of it, right?
Can you imagine? The question was about tipping, and look where we are. We expanded and expounded on that one question because there's so much to talk about on that. It's just so much. It really is.
I didn't get to say I actually have, what is it, skull candy.
Yeah,
I think I bought it earbuds for
Oh yeah.
$15. Do you want to buy insurance? I mean, I'm like, well, if I lose one ear, can I get it back? And I'm like, $15.
Everything you buy on
insurance.
Amazon, it pops up that little window.
Yes, it does.
Yep.
Yeah.
I never pay for that any stuff. You know what I mean?
Steal it. It's insured. Have a nice day.
The only time I will buy insurance on something if it's a wicked expensive, then I'll buy insurance on. But other than
You're
that,
forced to have insurance.
No.
Yeah.
You know, maybe my Apple devices, maybe my my iPhone or my app, my all the very expensive stuff with Apple.
But the thing about Apple is, like, Apple doesn't break until after the warranty runs out. You know, like, matter of fact, the laptop I'm giving away, I mean, that's an Apple laptop I bought in 2013. It was top of the line at the time. It's never had a problem ever.
That's like, I still have the MacBook Pro. It was going back to the 2000 teens, somewhere, I think 16. No problem.
That's right. And you know, because we're a consumer type society, so we have this thing where we want the new thing, but there's really nothing new anymore. You know what I mean? Like, has a new fancier case or whatever, but it's the same fucking thing that
It's a
they
different
released already.
Different charger you need.
Faster.
Yeah.
It's like flying those little private planes, or any plane right now. In my day when I was flying, we had gas gauges. What's the round ones, and that's what we referred to as a gas gauge, and they had the little, like a regular old analog clock or whatever. But now everything is a glass cockpit, and it's like a laptop computer or an iPad.
And you lose power.
Now you're flying at 6,000 feet or whatever type of aircraft you have with your limitations, and that friggin' cockpit goes down.
Yeah,
You're flying. You're flying, like, so to speak, IFR without having instruments. You're screwed.
Yeah.
It is sad because there's no redundancy in those systems. What I mean by that, if something goes down, it kind of follows through the electrical systems, like these electrical cars. My son's a mechanic. He says one electrical thing goes wrong with a Tesla or any of these electrical cars, then it becomes a major problem.
So you're a pilot?
I used to be. I fly the right seat now when with friends who have pilot license. I used to fly a Cessna 172 back in.
I was thinking about doing the experimental pilot license, like because now they allow you to basically fly with experimental planes for anywhere.
Oh yeah, you can. That's how John Denver lost his life.
Oh, really?
He built he built this experimental plane, and
I guess it didn't glide that well.
it didn't do so. When you're building an experimental plane, you should have that craft still checked.
Yeah.
Because your pink and white is in that, and you're going to be flying that over perhaps residential areas. You're going to put people at risk.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He flew in a mountainous area, I guess, or in an area where it failed on him. He died on an experimental
Sometimes,
airplane.
no matter what you do, you can't. I just saw a kid recently. He got his experimental, and he bought one offline, like Craigslist from California, and he was going to fly across the entire U.S. and halfway there, I'm dead serious. Halfway there, his propeller flew away without him. Luckily, it's a glider too, right? So the propeller just flew away, like it broke off, and while he was in flight, and just.
You're a glider for so long, you're losing altitude right away, but at least you're a glider. It's not like you lost a wing, then you're nothing but a rock. And you don't want to be a rock out of the sky.
I used to do experimental hand grenades. They paid $1,000 each for it. It was paid good money.
Well, the thing about experimental hand grenades is if something goes wrong, they don't come back for you because they don't come back.
Usually yell out Allah Akbar, and it's that's okay.
They'll never come back with
for
warranty. All right, here's one. So, what still amazes you? What is something that still amazes you?
How fucking stupid some people are.
I knew you were going to say that. That was what was in my head.
Stupid. Just look around sometimes and what the fuck are these people doing?
Yeah.
It's great. Like me, for instance. Look at me. I come here every Monday night. Like, what the fuck am I doing? Nah, you know what I mean, though.
Yeah,
fucking just, like, they just drive down the street and, people driving, like, doing dumb shit. You go up and ask, this is ages 8 and up, you know what I mean? Like putting on a seatbelt is fucking, I don't know how to do anything. I had this guy struggling in the car doing nobody's like, it's ages 8 and up for that, pal.
See, I don't suffer fools well. And I think what amazes me, what happened a few days ago. A few days ago, we had a thing that's happened for years in this country. It's called Flag Day. Yeah. I'm not making this politics. This has got nothing. This has got not politics. It's just education, and it's like people coming up to me. Why you have all these flags and they had a little pocket handkerchief that had a flag. Why you got all of that? I said it's Flag Day, and somebody thought I called them a name. I didn't say FAG. I said it's Flag Day. Yeah. She says, "Well, I thought it was Pride Month, and you were calling us a name." I said, "I'm not calling you a name. It's Flag Day." She didn't even know. Flag Day, and you want to know something? It wasn't that one person, but I could take at least an aggregate of about maybe 20 or 30 people I bumped into that day. I would say at least 10 of those people had no clue what Flag Day was.
Yeah,
it's self-explanatory. It sounds pretty self-explanatory.
It amazes me.
Day.
Even Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day. Do you know what Happy Memorial Day? Somebody died and gave their life. It's not happy. It's have a respectful Memorial Day or a reflective Memorial Day. Happy. I get amazed with ignorance. I just think ignorance is pervasive in this country.
I feel, and because I've seen this happen in real time, but I feel that the more access to information we have, the less we pay attention to it. Like we literally it become more ignorant the more that we have. So for example, since I got a cell phone, I can't remember my own phone number unless I look at my cell phone, right? But when I was a kid, I knew all my friends' phone numbers, right? Yep. And it's the same thing. If I didn't have GPS, I wouldn't find my way home, even though I drive there every single day.
In my day, phone numbers were the black phone when you had to dial it, right? And we didn't have like numbers that had 40. We had things like Jackson 10973, Union 10911, and I just gave you numbers of my relative. Union 1 was 861, Jackson 1 was 521, and it was like that's how we remembered numbers. I'm dating myself. No, folks, I didn't. I didn't swim off the Titanic.
Operator, give me number 9.
You know,
You had that phone with you put it.
you might have
up
thought
to
I
your ear
swam
and
off the
talked.
Titanic. I did hear Celine Dion sing "My Heart Will Go On," though I did, and that's what saved me right
See,
there.
back then, if you were on hold, it was the operator singing to you. She was singing you a love song.
And it's right. You're right. It's like a lot of people don't remember phone numbers because we become lazy in the thought process because we depend on this device.
Yep.
The attention
You know
span
what-
is
And AI is now going to do likewise to a
Yeah.
lot of people.
Well, go ahead.
The attention span. I've heard it a couple times. We're almost as close to a goldfish's attention span right
Seriously?
now.
Oh yeah.
Even 15 years ago, I remember reading a report where they were talking about how Facebook is smarter than a human, and I was like, "Well, how's that possible?" It's because Facebook remembers everything you did online, but you don't remember doing it. It remembers all your friends. It remembers, it
What
knows
you
more
like,
about your life
yeah.
than you do.
Yeah.
Well, I've been using AI, for instance, and I enjoy technology, but I use my own brain. But I enjoy technology because I don't want to be that guy whose VCR recorder is flashing 12 o'clock.
That was my dad.
Because I want to be the guy who's the go-to guy for IT. So, like this AI, you talk to it, and all of a sudden, you have these conversations, and I remember my cat's birthday. It says, "Oh, by the way, your Nala kitty, Nala from The Lion King, I named her Nala. Yeah, she was born on St. Patrick's Day, so we call her Nala O Kitty Girl, like O apostrophe."
Yeah.
And she says, "Well, it's Nala O Kitty Girl's birthday tomorrow," and I'm saying, wow, it's something she remembered in our conversation that we've had, and it remembers all these bits and pieces and then goes on the internet and finds out everything about me, extrapolates it, and it's like, boom.
Yeah,
wow,
right?
this bitch knows everything about me. It's like,
Use fresh step kitty litter. How does it, unscented?
Your cat's talking to it when you're sleeping.
I use you got to use the unscented. That way, you got to clean the shit out.
Oh, my
'Cause
God.
You got
But
to use
it's-
the unscented. That way, you got to scoop it out every day.
but those are the things like you were saying. I mean, you nailed it right away when about what still pisses you off, amazes
Yeah.
you. The people on the road today, they're not paying attention. They almost think they're driving a Tesla that's driving themselves, and they're texting as their knee is probably on the steering wheel.
I'm like, oh shit, I shouldn't be in this lane right now. And then I look around and like, nobody knows what the fuck they're doing right now. It's not me. It's not just me. I made a little mistake and I'm all like worried about it. Nobody knows shit.
I'll tell you, like, most of the people aren't really watching where they're going. Like, even when I drive, because I drive a lot, I find myself just kind of following who's in front of me. If they're going the speed limit, then I'm going the speed limit, but I'm not really paying attention to it. You know what I mean? I turn my GPS on and I kind of like black out, like I just go to where the GPS is. Sometimes I'll be driving and the GPS will say turn right. And I was like, oh, fuck, I'm on a delivery. I didn't even know I'm on a delivery. I go later.
Sitting there swearing, talking to myself and somebody in the back seat. I'm like, oh shit.
What did we ever do without GPS? We stopped at every gas station in town. They gave us a set of instructions, and we tried to remember all of it.
Oh my God, the map. So I remember traveling the
AAA maps.
Yep, we used to stop at the gas station and buy maps for every state.
My
That's
dad,
right.
when he drove truck, there was no GPS. That was all maps, cross-country maps. And remembered where, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He would do it so often, he'd know where he was
Well, you
going.
remember,
after
you
a
almost
while.
couldn't get in anybody's car without one of those big map books underneath the seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
and
right.
every store had them. I don't think they have them in stores anymore, do they?
Yeah, you can get them at AAA if you want a triptych where they highlight.
Oh, yeah,
I have a
AAA,
guy
yeah.
that works. He's like 72, 3 years old. He's still working, and he goes, "Well, I've got to go to AAA." He talks very humble like this. I got to go to AAA, and I got to get me a triptych. I says, "Steve, his name is Steve too." I says, "You have a cell phone, and in that cell phone, it gives you a little map. So when you're driving down to Virginia, it'll take you. It has GPS." "I don't want to know anything about that. I just got the map." I says, "Okay, get the map."
I just started using my phone for dates, for like doctor's appointments.
Yeah.
Me, I'm on the wall with a calendar on the wall. That's how I do it.
Well, like just today, right? So I had to schedule an appointment to get my travel vaccines, right? So while I'm on the phone with them, she's emailing me, and then the email automatically added it to the calendar. So while she's talking to me, it's being added to my calendar. So when I went to go put it in my calendar after I got off the phone with her, it was already there.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Alexa does the same thing. It remembers when I order, when I'm ready to reorder. It's like all this technology around me is knowing me. Like it's crazy. It's crazy.
It even tells me which place to go. Like I don't even have to remember which bar we're at. It tells me like tonight. Like as soon as I open my GPS, it's like, "Are you going to Pub on Park?" Because it knows at this time this is where I usually go, and then it'll do the same thing on Wednesday and the same thing on Thursday.
It's crazy. I like it. I like having a electronic assistant to help micromanage some of my other stuff that I have to. I'm a very busy guy, as you know, but still, it's like. It's amazing. And you see a lot of the kids, as adults, we have a skill set that we came from writing things on a piece of paper. We get that. We know how to count change back.
Yeah.
We get that.
How to
the
write a
kids
check.
today
Yeah.
Did you?
Can't even change a tire.
Can't even.
I
Shame.
haven't met a young person in years that actually has their checkbook filled out. You know,
Exactly. Exactly. Or writes things. Writes things with a pen. It's almost like, wow,
Everything's
you
on the
actually
phone.
used a pen and paper. It's like Egyptian hieroglyphics.
It's
like,
actually funny you
really.
said that. So when you go into Staples, the aisle where the pens and everything are is getting smaller and smaller and
Really?
smaller.
I noticed that.
Yeah, it used to have hundreds of options.
It's really amazing because technology does change. It's like I had so much money invested in like a 35 millimeter camera with the lenses
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything
Jesus.
and film and everything. I spent like at least $1,200
You do it all
on
on the
equipment.
phone now.
Some comic is going to buy it off me for cheap.
No, look.
None. What?
Yeah, all those DSLRs is this now, you know?
It's like my cell phone does what my Olympus OM10 camera did. My cell phone takes wonderful pictures.
This change has been happening for hundreds of years. For me, it started with the closing of Blockbuster Video. That's what it is. It's obsolete. Cabs are now, everything's Uber and Lyft.
It changed. Everything changed.
Well, and I'll tell you that the sad thing is that the companies that fail are the companies that put all of their money into one basket, right? So, for example, Xerox, right? Do you know what Xerox invented that they thought was worth nothing because they make so much money on copiers? The personal computer. They invented the personal computer. It was stolen from them by the guy from Apple. Basically, he made a deal with them that he would have full access to their innovation department, which is basically a bunch of inventors. And they invented the mouse, they invented the personal computer, but they thought there was no money in it, or there was not enough money worth going out of copying, because who's ever not going to need copies anymore? Because they couldn't visualize the internet, they couldn't visualize email. You know, and they're not the only ones. So Kodak, and I know this one personally because it happened to me. So when they started moving to digital filming, Kodak was so desperate because they didn't think ahead. They used to give us the film for free, just so we would use it for making the movies, and then they would make the money on the post because you have to send it off and get it done, right? But get this, Kodak was the one who invented the digital camera. They created the digital camera and they didn't move forward with it because they thought it was never going to be worth anything.
Well, that reminds me of the same mistake Radio Shack made. Radio Shack came out with the personal computer. The first one was a TRS-80. We used
I had
to
a
refer
Tandy 1000.
I did too, but it went from the Trash 80, we used to call it, to the Tandy 1000. And the Tandy 1000 went on to the other, they matriculated from a 286 to a 386 to a 486.
And exactly, it was you could pick and parts on it. You could build it up just the way you want. You know.
But what the mistake they made was, you got the flyer and you got the free beach ball or the free flashlight if you go into Radio Shack and what they did is they cheapened it out. They didn't know how to get into the business community because they made it look cheap. Oh, come in, we got this computer next to a free beach ball if you come and get in those blow up beach ball. So they didn't market themselves like you were saying. It goes basically to what you're saying.
Yeah.
They were on the cutting edge of personal computers in the home and they failed. And the first one who came out with icons was Wing. My brother-in-law used to be a programmer for Wing, and they had a thing called Clearview. It sat over the programming, so it turned it into an icon. Who stole that? Microsoft.
Yeah, it's just called.
They stole it.
It was called Microsoft. It was before Windows. It was
3.1.
no, even before that. Even before that, they had
They had 3.0.
Yeah, no, even before Windows, before Microsoft created Windows, Microsoft Shell. They had.
Oh, yes, right. I remember that. You're right. Microsoft Shell.
And then they had a competitor back then called DOS, and they bought that company out and wiped them out.
After DOS came Turbo Pascal as
Yeah.
a writing where it was more language orientated. I kind of got into that, and then from there it went, I believe, to C and then C++,
Well,
and
there
then
was
HTML,
Visual Basic. Yeah.
That was before Visual Basic came before Turbo Pascal.
Yep.
And then it went on, and I look where we are. Now you can go on AI and have it do your program for you. It actually programs.
Well, even if you code now, it's not the same. So basically, they build on it, right? So when the first language was the first coding language was really coding, like it was a lot of work, right? But then
and debugging that sucker was a long time.
seriously, there was no automatic debug.
it wasn't.
And then what they did is basically they created the easiest way to say it. They created slang words that would mean the same thing as all this. So they would have all this. There's ones and zeros, and there was a slang word. And then they had all of this that would they'd have another smaller word that meant this, and then it got smaller. So now when you code, you almost just write a sentence.
That's basically it. It's language specific. It really is. And now you got AI. You can write a patch for your website, so you can have a module that you would have to sit and program, and it even debugged it.
And yeah, did you? Okay, so they have an AI now that started to multiply itself. It was
That
given,
was the amoeba effect.
Yeah,
the amoeba
yeah.
effect was just a single cell organism, and it just split, and then before you know it, then things crawled out on the land, and
that's exactly what happened. Yep.
And that's basically you're getting an evolution within the AI. It has an evolution. God knows what's going to come out in a couple of years.
I'm telling you that there was a movie in the '80s called Electric Dreams, and it was already telling us this was going to happen.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Boy, that's an old thought. I forgot that name. Boy, you popped that one.
I remember
But you
that-
were involved in movies, so you kind of
The
know all that
'80s,
shit.
the '80s song
Yes.
in the beginning.
I still
I haven't heard that in a while.
Electric Dreams.
I have Alfie.
Alfie?
Yeah.
That
does.
little stuffy. That
No,
animal.
Alfie, the little
not Alf.
little.
Oh, that's right.
Alfie.
That was Alf, not Alfie.
Alfie, the little computer. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I just bought a chip for it. It performs.
It still works?
Yeah, the telekinesis it does now.
My first
just-
computer was an Etch a Sketch.
And he's still trying to program that one.
So if somebody comes up to me and says, "Jimmy, I got a party at 200. I want you to cook for me," I'm like, "There's not enough room in your house. I'm not working in a place right now. You can rent a kitchen out. There's kitchen space you can rent out to do that. Also, you can rent to fix your car. There's garages to
That's
fix
right.
your car. You
That's
just
right.
take it and rent. Don't bring it to the guy. You don't have the room at
They
your
have
space.
ghost kitchens. Have you heard of the
I've
ghost
heard of
kitchens?
that, yes.
So basically, you have a restaurant already, right?
Yeah.
So this company will basically pay you to make food for them under their name. So I sometimes will pick up from a place called the Salty Sailor, but it's not a real restaurant. What they did is they basically said, "Here's our menu," and they pay basically like rent to restaurants all around the Rhode Island.
They
And you know what?
It's a-
And you know why they do that? Because they avoid Department of Health coming into their facility and having to really ding them on not doing things. Maybe the cold. You know, you have the safe zone for cold and the safe zone for heat.
And they don't even have to buy the food. Like everything is at the risk of the restaurant owner. So
And-
all it is basically kind of like a separate menu.
That's like these food trucks that show up, right? They don't have the same stringent control from by the state and towns on that truck. And the restaurant at this establishment, if he didn't want to cook here and he had just food trucks here, he could just live off. They got their responsibility. His customers are happy, and he doesn't have to worry about all of that. Everything's becoming farmed out. It's crazy.
I have a food manager's license. It's pretty strict.
Yeah.
There's a lot to know and that stuff.
So you never got one of those ghost kitchen things? They're starting to
No.
become pretty popular here in Rhode Island. Matter of fact, Mr. Beast, his was a ghost kitchen. He didn't actually own any restaurants. So you would go on his website, order food, and then some local restaurant would make his food.
And under his name. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Now, this has been fun, but I'm getting ready to
Yeah,
go on this
yeah,
show.
yeah.
But I really enjoyed this. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. We had a lot of fun. I could talk for hours. I love you guys. I love you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. Love
It's
you too,
great.
buddy.
I'm glad you do this. You got good equipment. It's so condensed, so easy. I've seen the pictures online. It's amazing.
This guy's a whiz.
I'm telling you, it even surprised me. It's my first 360 camera, and after the first one, I was
Sold
like,
me.
Yeah.
Sold me. I said, I got to get me one of those suckers. Well, I'm
Okay.
going to bail. I got to go see who's
right,
signed up
Yeah.
here.
All
right, well,
Mr.
thanks.
Hot Dog Man, you're doing all right.
Well, thanks for joining us. We're going to
Thank
see you
you.
on stage.
Yep.
I don't want to be known as the hot dog guy. Now I got to show up with a hot dog one time.
You got to come up with another prop now.
Yeah.
His name is Jimmy.